as Maria was learning all of these different mindfulness exercises, I also wanted to teach her some mindfulness reflections. So, in other words, how to reflect back on your mindfulness experience and basically see what you're learning from it. So I asked Maria, of all of the different mindfulness exercises that you've been practicing, is there any of those that you would like to focus on more just to reflect on? And she said, yep, the pickup soccer games that we've been playing. So I said, perfect, that'll work. Let's go with that. So I walked her through 4 follow-up questions. The first question is, what did you notice when you were mindful? So in this case, when you were mindfully playing soccer, she said, well, I was able to concentrate better and even score more goals. So I said, oh, that's wonderful. Is there anything else that you noticed as you were mindfully playing soccer? She said, well, yeah, I also noticed that I was sweating a lot. I was out of breath a lot. My heart was beating faster. And I also noticed a mild leg cramp. So then the next follow-up question is, so what was different about this experience? So in other words, what was different playing soccer mindfully versus how you normally play soccer? And she said, well, I don't usually pay attention to those things, referring to some of those symptoms, so to speak, of sweating or getting out of breath or heart beating fast or that mild leg cramp. So, okay, that's really good information that you noticed those things as you were playing soccer. The third follow-up question I asked was, so how does what you learn relate to your clinical symptoms? You know, her anxiety, her depression, her panic, her PTSD, those sort of things. And her response was absolutely perfect, because what she said was, some of those things that I noticed when I'm playing soccer, like, for example, the sweating, the heart palpitations, shortness of breath, those are actually the same things I have when I have a panic attack. So I asked her, so, well, did you have a panic attack? And she said, no, of course not. I said, well, why not? You had all the symptoms of a panic attack, so why didn't you just have one? And she basically looked at me like, come on, don't be silly. Like, I was just playing soccer. Like, you're supposed to sweat. You're supposed to be out of breath when you're running around. Your heart is supposed to beat faster when you're exercising. I said, yeah, you're right. Your body is supposed to do all that. So, but why didn't you have a panic attack? And it dawned on her that she could have the symptoms of a panic attack without actually having a panic attack. Right? So she was learning lots of information just by this basic mindfulness work. And that's the whole point of mindfulness work. And then the last follow-up question I asked her was, so how does what you learned relate to your personal life goals? Her response was once again perfect. Doesn't always go according to script like this, but Maria was a great client to work with. And she said, well, if I can be more mindful playing soccer, then I can also be more mindful in other areas of my life too. And that's the whole point here.